the recording is available on the website so that you can go back and rewatch it if you need to, or if there happens to be a day that you miss class, you can go back and watch this recording and see what it is that you missed. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we are looking at crime scene processing. So hopefully you guys can answer these questions with me. So first and last name, that's easy. You guys should have that one down. Let's look at this first question. Who is responsible for securing the crime scene? So I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds. Remember, you have notes. We took notes together yesterday and the day before. I'm going to give you some time to think and then be prepared to be called on. I need you to let me know who is responsible for securing the crime scene. Who is responsible for securing the crime scene? Let's see. It looks like I have an answer. Daniel says police. The police officer is responsible. Excellent job, Mr. Sarabia. The police officer should be the first one on scene. He's the one that's responsible for securing the crime scene. Okay. Who is responsible for taking pictures at a crime scene? So Daniel answered. That means he can't answer the second one. So I want to give everybody a chance. Who is responsible for taking pictures at a crime scene? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. All right. Joanna says the CSI. CSI is the crime scene investigator, and the crime scene investigator is responsible for taking pictures at the crime scene. Excellent. Who is responsible for interviewing any witnesses? Excellent, Carlos. The detective is the one that's responsible for interviewing witnesses. So remember that what we do in this class, we're more at the level of the crime scene investigator. We're not going to get to the point where we're talking about interview strategies, interview techniques. That would be in other criminal justice level courses. What we're talking about in this class is more at the level of the crime scene investigator. So excellent work there, Carlos. All right, the next question is the answer to that was detective. That was my mistake. The next question, what type of method, search method? So remember we went over the types of search methods. Oh, I gave away the answer, guys. My mistake. Remember that there are 4 types of search methods. For small indoor areas, we use the zone method. Who can tell me what example you would use the zone method for? In yesterday's notes, there were 2 places that we said would be great for the zone method. Excellent. Bathrooms and elevators. Bathrooms and elevators are great ways or great places to check using the zone method. And you break that up into quadrants, and then you check each of those quadrants. Excellent work there. Okay, so the circular path is good for what type of location? The circular search pattern is good for what type of location? Do we remember? Excellent, ma'am. That was Frida, right? Awesome. Good job, Frida. So large outdoor or indoor areas. If I had to search the cafeteria, that would be a great place to use the circular method because that's a large indoor area. If I had to search the elevator, then I would use the zone method, right? So different locations have different methods of searching, okay? So that covers kind of what we did in the notes. Now let's think about the video where we talked about what the crime scene investigators were wearing. So Daniel Resendez, can you remind me what the name of that suit was that the crime scene investigators were wearing? Excellent, Daniel. Exactly. It was called a bunny suit. So we're talking about that bunny suit. So here's the question. CSI investigators can wear anything they want when processing a crime scene. Can they just wear whatever, Saul, or do they have to wear the bunny suit? Saul, are you with me, honey? Bunny suit. Excellent. So Saul had the right answer. The CSIs have to wear the bunny suit because they have to protect themselves and the crime scene from fluids, stains, prints, etc. Excellent work, Saul. I like how thorough you were answering those questions. The common approach path. So I want us to think back to that video. This was a really important section in the video. They talked about the common approach path is the term given to the path taken by the criminal as he or she enters the scene. The common approach path. Is it true that that's what we call that, where the criminal entered, or is that something else? Is it true or is it false? Is it true or is it false? Leticia says false. Let's check, Leti. It is false. Exactly. The common approach path is the path that the CSI takes as they enter the crime scene. Excellent work, Leticia. And I'm glad you took a risk, guys. Don't be afraid. If we get the wrong answer, it's cool because we're learning anyway, right? This is new for everybody. For outdoor crime scenes, and I would like, let's see, Esmeralda. I haven't heard from Esmeralda, so I want Esmeralda to answer this one for me. In outdoor crime scenes, if conditions are not favorable, so you go to the crime scene, it's dark or it's raining or it's snowing, the CSI will wait until the weather is better. So you go to the crime scene, it's at night. Are you going to wait or are you going to process the crime scene? What do you think, Esmeralda? All right, let's see. I've got an answer from Esmeralda. False. So remember, we want to process the crime scene as quickly as possible because it could be that the weather is going to change something or that we're going to miss something because we waited. So we want to process the crime scene as quickly as possible. But that was good, Esmeralda, because we were thinking like, well, you know, if it's dark, maybe I'm not going to see something. But we don't want to take the chance that there's going to be some kind of contamination or other issue if we wait. Great job, Esmeralda. All right, then we have the article on the order of processing the crime scene, okay? So I want you to think back and remember that that article will be posted today in our Google Classroom so that you guys can access it if you need it. It says, considering the order of operations in processing a crime scene, the crime scene is sketched and then photographs are taken of each piece of evidence. So I want you to think back. Do you sketch first or do you take pictures first? So let's go ahead and have everyone answer this. If you think you sketch first, go ahead and put sketch into the chat. If you think you photograph first, go ahead and put pic into the chat. Do you sketch first or do you take a pic first? And no selfies at the crime scene. Go ahead and put your answer into the chat. All right, let's see. I've got pick, pictures. Okay, so we all think we take pictures first. Thank you, Liliana. Let's check our answer. Let's see if we're correct. We do take pictures first, okay? First we take pictures, then we sketch, because there might be evidence that we need to take a picture of before it changes, and we don't want to wait while we're sketching for the apple to turn brown or for the leaf to fall off the tree, right? You need to make sure that you get your information, your evidence as quickly as possible. Excellent job, guys. Okay, the next question. Evidence must be analyzed quickly so that it can be available in trial. Usually, trials for serious criminal cases happen very soon after the crime is committed. So let's think back to that article. And I want you to answer again. This one's going to be a chat answer. Do cases happen quickly, or do cases take a long time? So if you think that they happen quick, go ahead and put quick. If you think it takes a long time for it to go to trial, then go ahead and answer slow. So those are your two answer options, quick or slow. All right, Frida says slow. Letty, Carlos, Liliana, thank you guys. Daniel, awesome. Saul, Joanna, Esmeralda. All right, let's see if you're correct, folks. I think you're right. I tend to think you're right. It takes time to think and analyze. Excellent, Saul. Exactly. When we jump to conclusions, awesome, Marco. Thank you. When we jump to conclusions, that's where we start to make mistakes, right? And so as crime scene investigators, you guys cannot be rushed when you're looking at evidence, when you're making these connections, when you're looking at all the things that you're collecting. So you have to take your time with this information. So it says evidence must be analyzed quickly. This is going to be false, okay? We have to take our time analyzing evidence. The best way to ensure that the crime scene sketch measurements are accurate is for the CSI making the sketch to take each measurement 3 times. Now, I want you to remember, the article did say that the person making the sketch would measure. Did they say that they had to measure 3 times? So if you think they have to measure 3 times, put 3. If you think 2 people have to measure, then you put 2. So again, this is going to be a chat answer. You're either going to answer 3 or 2. All right, Frida says 3. Who else agrees with Frida? All right, Letty, Daniel. And remember, guys, you don't have to guess. We put this information in our notes. So this is a great opportunity for you to make sure that your notes have this information. Did I lose 15 people? Because I only had 3 answers, guys. And I know you're with me. Fabulous. Jocelyn, Esmer, thank you. Carlos. Oh, it's okay. So if you're measuring for a sketch, do you measure 3 times? Mande. So you're not going to have access to this quiz till Monday. Correct. Yeah, I'm showing you the quiz so that you know it works well right now. Okay, Melissa, if it goes out, put it in the chat and I'll make adjustments. It might be my headphones, honey. Okay, Kayla, so the reason we're going over it right now is because I want to make sure that you have all the information you need. Does that make sense? Awesome. No problem, Kayla. Okay, so let's go back to that one. So the question was, because somebody I know missed the question. It says the best way to make sure that the crime scene measurement is accurate is for the CSI making the sketch to measure 3 times. So if I'm thinking back to that article that we looked at yesterday, do I need to measure 3 times? And if I think that's the answer, then I'm going to put 3 in the chat. Or do me and another person have to measure? And if I think that's the answer, I'm going to put 2. So make sure that you're giving me an answer because I don't have everyone in the chat answering me. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. So I'm still missing like 9 people. 2. Okay, Marco's being brave. He says that it's me and somebody else that has to measure. Liliana says 2. Joanna says 2. All right, let's check it out. The answer is dun, 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 false. Correct. 2 people measure. I measure, and then somebody double checks my measurement. Excellent job, folks. That was that you know, we need to take a risk, and the risk paid off because now we know that we are correct in thinking that 2 people need to measure. All right. So here's our last question for this section. If a CSI collects an object that contains blood, so this is a bloody knife per se, it should be placed in a sealed plastic bag to protect it from being contaminated with bacteria. Do I put a bloody piece of evidence in a plastic bag? That's the question. True or false? I put a bloody piece of evidence in a plastic bag. So let's go ahead and get your answers in the chat. It's either going to be true, I put a bloody knife in a plastic bag, or false, I do not. Let's see. I've got, oh, Daniel says big false. He's feeling some big false vibes. All right. I think you're right. I think that we have to put, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that if it's bloody, we have to put it in a paper bag. That is correct. We don't put anything that has blood on it in a plastic bag. Because remember, if it's wet, anything that has fluids, if you put it in a plastic bag, that's where it develops the bacteria because it never dries. Okay, so excellent work on that, guys. And then let's look at this last section. Which of these is not a part of the evidence label? So remember yesterday we did that little evidence label when we found the lighter in the bathroom. And which of these did we not put on the evidence label? Which of these did we not put on the evidence label? And I'm going to call on, let's see, I'm going to call on, oh, Marco. You know what, Marco? Let's see. Answer for me, please. You can put it in the chat or you can answer it out loud. So Marco said B, the name of the person who collects the evidence. Actually, you do have to put that on there. So does anyone else want to tell me what you don't put on the evidence label? D, excellent. You don't have to put the crime that was committed because guess what? You might not actually know what crime was committed, right? At that point, you're just collecting evidence. It's not your job to say, oh yeah, this was murder or this was this or this was that, right? Your job when you're collecting evidence is just to collect the evidence. So excellent work, guys. Y'all are doing awesome. When sealing an evidence bag, the CSI signs his or her name and date in which of these places? On the tape before it's sealed, on the back of the bag, so that part of the writing is on the tape and part on the bag, or below the evidence label. So A, B, C, or D. Awesome job, guys. Perfect. It is C. So you're going to write your name half on the label and half on the bag so that you can tell if somebody has opened it up because the signature will be different. And then our very last question for this is, which of these is false? about the chain of custody. So which of these things is not true? If the chain of custody is broken, the evidence is often not used in court. The chain of custody begins when the piece of evidence is brought to the crime lab. Everyone who accesses the evidence is part of the chain of custody. Or the purpose of the chain of custody is to ensure that evidence taken from the crime scene is not altered. Which of those is a lie? Which of those is not true? Which of those is not true? Okay, Melissa says, Frida says A. Anybody agree with Frida? Jocelyn says C. Letty says A. Melissa says A. Liliana says A. All right. So the actual correct answer for this is B. The chain of custody does not begin when you bring it into the crime lab. The chain of custody begins as soon as you collect the evidence. As soon as we collect the evidence, we have to start the chain of custody. It has nothing to do with when we bring it into the crime lab. It has to do with when did I find it? And then once I found it, now who is touching it, who is moving it, who is manipulating it, right? So I feel like you guys are going to do great on this one. This is 15 points. And so this is the quiz that you will take on Monday. Okay, this will be live on the site on Monday for you to do as your Monday assignment. Oh, thank you. Excuse me, guys. Thank you. Okay. So you've got that one down, guys. But the one that I really am concerned about is the one that you all took last week because the scores were not great. And so I want to go over that one because I want the scores to be great because I think you guys know this. I think it was just kind of like a fear of like, oh my gosh, it's a quiz and I'm stressed out, right? So I want you guys to feel comfortable with this information. So we're going to go over the evidence collection one. So this one, obviously, first question, first name, last name. What type of evidence must be put into a porous evidence bag, which means a bag that is not plastic? And so if chewing gum is wet, then I have to put that in a porous bag. Fingerprints. I don't put fingerprints in a bag. Paper. Well, I can put paper in a plastic bag. I can put paper in a folder. I can put it in all kinds of things. Paint chips. Well, I wouldn't put paint chips in a porous bag. I could put these into plastic because they're dry. I can put fibers in plastic. I can put a gun in plastic. I can put tool marks. Remember, tool marks are like if I take a hammer and I hit something, I can cut out that piece of wood that was hit and then take it in. Hair can go in a plastic bag, and even footwear impressions where I mold the shoe, all of that can go into a plastic bag. Am I sharing this with you guys? I am not, am I? I apologize, folks. Here we go. So just a reminder that gum, because it is wet, we never put it in a plastic bag. Okay, and that's really the key to remembering if something can go in plastic. If it's wet, don't put it in a plastic bag. If it's dry, you can put it in a plastic bag. Okay, then it says this evidence may be able to tell the CSI the ethnicity of the suspect. Okay, can you tell from somebody's fingerprints if they are black or white? What do you think? Right. You have to do it from the hair. Excellent, Kayla, because you need DNA to tell you that information. You're never going to figure that out from anything except something that has DNA. So if I look at that question, the only one of these things that has DNA is hair. And so the only thing that can tell me the ethnicity of the suspect would be hair. Okay. The next question, what type of evidence would you put in a paper bindle? Remember, the paper bindle is for small items. Okay, small items. So let me ask Ingrid. I haven't heard from Ingrid. Ingrid, which one do you think you would put into a paper bindle? Remember, that's the small paper square that you make. Ingrid, are you with me, honey? Okay. What about you, Leticia? What do you? Oh, Miss Brown, are you saying something? Yes, I am. You can't hear me, Mel? Okay, Melissa cannot hear me. Let me see if it's my microphone. It cuts. Oh, no. Okay. Is that better, Mel? I wonder what's happening. Okay, so if you are collecting in a paper bindle, it needs to be something small, like paint chips. Paint chips are what you would collect in a small paper package. Then it says, sometimes CSI has to make a cast of evidence at the scene. Which piece of evidence would need a cast made? This would be tool marks. Okay, tool marks, shoe prints, tire marks. Those would need a cast made. This evidence is often collected with powder and a tape. That would be fingerprints. Okay, I do the fingerprint dusting. That's how I collect that evidence. This type of evidence is collected onto a cellophane. And plastic envelopes keep them from damage and contamination. So if I think about this in a cellophane, in a piece of plastic, is it hair? It's not hair. It is documents. So if I have paper, I'm going to put them in a plastic envelope to keep them from being damaged. Which of the following pieces of evidence, which of the following pieces of evidence is examined using a comparison microscope and best demonstrates Locard's exchange principle? Locard's exchange principle says that if I go into a place, right, if you come to my house, you are going to pick up things and you are going to leave things, right? Maybe you put your hair in a chongo and a hair falls out. Maybe you get dog hair on your pants from my dog. So we're going to exchange evidence, exchange things when you come to a new location. So if you are looking to compare fibers, let's say you sit on my couch and you leave a hair and you take a dog hair, well, they can compare the dog hair on your pants to my dog's hair, or they can compare the hair on my couch to your hair. And so when you're comparing two things. Which evidence might be either two-dimensional or three-dimensional? So footwear impressions. When you're walking, you can leave a mark. But if you're walking in mud, you might leave a mark that is also deep. And that depth will say something about the person that they're looking for. And then what can be learned from blood splatter at a crime scene? You can learn if the suspect is left or right-handed. You can learn how many blows a victim received. You can learn the size of the weapon, and you can learn the height of the suspect. These are all things that you can learn based on the blood spatter. And then the very last question is, which of these can help determine if a body has been moved hours after death? So remember, rigor mortis is if the body is hard or flexible. Livor mortis is where the blood has settled in the body. So depending on where the blood has settled is how you can tell if the body has been moved. Okay. Any questions on this quiz? Excellent, Frida. Yeah, liver. Okay. So I do want you guys, you cannot get a higher than 100, Frida. I wish you could. I wish you could write questions for me. Because sometimes I look at these like books that I'm, trying to figure out what to put on the quizzes. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm asking this question 3 times. But no, you can't get higher than 100. So anyone who needs to retake that test, it's going to be available on Monday. And then the second test you all are going to have on Monday. Tomorrow, you'll need to turn in your notes for this week. And, we finished with them yesterday. So if you wanted to turn them in yesterday, you could have. But you do have until midnight tomorrow to turn them in. Monday, you do your quizzes. And so I do want to remind you that next week is the last week that we are on this schedule. And then on the 19th, we are beginning our new schedule. So if anyone has any questions or concerns about that, I'm going to go over it again next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, just so that everybody knows what we're doing the week of the 19th. Are there any questions, guys? Monday. No, babe, we did all the slides together. We finished it yesterday. And today, like as soon as class is over, I'm going to go put up the video. So you can either watch yesterday's video or talk to one of your friends and see if they'll lend you their slides. You're welcome, honey. Any other questions, guys? If there are any ideas for class. Yeah, absolutely, Frida. Send me an email. There's no one else in the district that teaches this class, so I'm kind of making it up, right? Like I have an outline that they told me like you have to teach all these things, but I have all these I have all these ideas, and it sucks that we're not in person. There was some really cool things that I wanted to do if we were in person. And hopefully, we'll be able to go back soon and we'll be able to do all those cool things. But yeah, email me and then let's see. Let's play Among Us. Do you know who the murderer is in Among Us, or is it like a surprise? Like, do you have to guess who the murderer is? Because maybe that's a good idea. It's a surprise. Okay, let me figure that out. Frida, think about it and give me ideas. Maybe we can use Among Us as a murder scenario. It was Daniel, his hair. Oh, Saul, be nice. Saul, we're nice in this class. All right. So I will see you tomorrow, folks. No, I'm lying. Why are you letting me lie? I will see you on Tuesday. Okay. Have a good weekend. Please be safe. Please make sure that you are, sanitizing, washing your hands, covering your faces. Stay home. You don't have anything to go do out in the streets. Bye, guys. Bye, honey. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye. Thanks. Mande. Oh, what's up?